Hello and welcome to the Solutions podcast. And this month I am here with Amanda Waring. So, hi, Amanda. And we actually live quite close together in the south of England. So, it's lovely to interview you and to see what your passion is all about at the moment and what solutions come from your heart. So,
Oh, I,
tell us a little bit about you.
I love that. I love the solutions from the heart. That's again the most powerful place for them to come from. A bit about me. So I am a solutionist as well, like Nicola's. My solution aspects really come to elder care. Have done for the last 25 years. How do we care for our elderly? How do we support our carers? How do we support those that are family, also looking after others? And for 25 years, I have been writing books, speaking at the House of Lords, teaching, training, using my films to really get people to understand what it feels like to walk in the shoes of an older person. And also to recognize that we are like a tree. I mean, we don't suddenly become an old person. We are just like a tree that grows age upon age upon age upon age. So, this kind of separatist feeling that we have in society around older, younger, etc., is not always helpful. So, part of what I try and allow people to see is actually the similarities, yes, the challenges, but also not going into any aspects of ageism or prejudice when we are all going to get to that particular age, God willing. So yes, my powerful passion is around that and end of life care and improving as a death doula, and as a funeral celebrant, improving how we address end of life care from a humanistic point of view rather than this constant medical model that is kind of thrust upon us. You know, one of the things I talk about is at the end of a person's life, it will be the love that they have received that they will remember. So, love in care is not a dirty word. And when I am able to talk to whatever groups that I'm working with, the relief on some levels and saying, you know, don't let bureaucracy squeeze out your humanity. And we need the balance. We need the balance because people that go into care are generally there to care.
Yes.
And there's very little time and space to do that caring. But what I provide is innovative solutions that are simple. So, for example, if I go into a care home and training, we might say we don't have time for dignity. And I'll say, well, or for interaction or person centered care. And I'll say, well, if every single bit of equipment, paperwork, towels, whatever you needed for your work was put where it should be, how much time do you think you could save? And so when respect and dignity is there within the staff for each other's roles, that then bleeds into a positive outcome for the residents themselves. You know, and a solution for elder care is also to say what good care is out there and what good care looks like. I mean, for me, my mother was treated incredibly badly in a hospital at the age of 17, and she was given 3 months to live with leukemia. My mum happened to be a famous actress, and she was treated not just rudely and with disrespect, but actually emotional cruelty. She was dismissed and ignored at every turn. There was no interaction, there was no compassion. And my mum said that she felt like a piece of meat.
Mm.
And to see my mum just shriveled by this experience just shocked me to the core and made me determined to change hospitals, which we did, where the staff were again friendly and communicative. And we realized you can have good medical care, but without adequate emotional care, physical healing is impaired. This is why this is so important. When my mum died, she lived for another year and a half. but I was haunted by the lack of understanding of the staff on what thoughtless, not deliberate abuse. This is the drip, drip, drip of thoughtless behavior. Coming out of tiredness, coming out of burnout, which again is what I address. But what I did was I sold my flat to make a film in memory of my mum. I was a single mum and everyone said, "You're mad." But I had to make a film that would look at what the lack of compassion does to an individual. So that film is called What Do You See? And I went to the government, I went to Gordon Brown with my film, and I said, we have to put dignity back at the heart of care, set up the Dignity and Care campaign. And it has, 500,000 plus dignity champions. And what I would say to anyone about looking at solutions is I'd never made a film before. I've now made 50 films. I'd never written a book before. I've now written 3 books on care and care of ourselves whilst caring for others. But I had the freedom and maybe the personal story that made me want to do something globally. But it's just me. I'm just Amanda doing this work. So I don't work with an organization. I have total freedom to say what I like, when I like, on so many levels. And that's why individual solutionists, I think, can be also so powerful. Obviously, it's amazing to have a community behind you, 100% not saying that. But I'm saying don't let the fact that it is just one of you deter you.
I think it's really worth noting that this lack of care for elderly people, older people, really elderly is not the correct word. You don't see this in indigenous cultures because of this reverence for age, that they are the wisdom keepers. They're the people that you go to if you've got a question. They're the people that help look after the kids. They're the people that have the knowledge of the land. So it's a very, very different relationship with original peoples who have this absolute love for the older members of their community. And we live in such a different world that there's this, sadly, many older people never see children anymore. They may see their grandchildren if they're lucky. They're put into homes. And when in Ecuador, I've spoken about that people put their parents in homes, I've had people think I was joking. And they, oh, yes, that would be a good thing to do. Ha, ha, ha. And I said, no. That's actually a real thing. That's what we do. And because it's such a whole different idea, they just could not imagine that you would put your parents into a home. They've spent their life caring for you. And then all of a sudden, so how we bring back this, what we all want ultimately, which, as we get older, of course we want to be around children, of course we want to be around all ages, because that's what gives them joy. And you hear that there are some kind of multi-generational aspects where they're bringing children into care homes, and this absolute joy that it would bring to them, and the importance also of the interaction of the children, asking them questions, so that we have this timeline of what happened in the past, how it is today, and what we can imagine the future will be like. Because for one of our kids or teenagers today, talking about a phone that was attached to a wall, they just would be like, what are you talking about? A phone that was attached to a wall. So our life experiences are so different, and so that importance of dignity, of care. But you also work with ceremony, which
Yes.
we have that great belief of the importance of ceremony. And again, all around the world, well, we see it from the temples that have been built all around the planet, that it's always been important for people as a way of coming together. And what would you like to say about, why do you think that ceremony is so important?
Ceremony is so important because it anchors pivotal points in one's psyche. in one's physical body, in one's life. It anchors hope, potential, creativity, and it allows us to have a moment out of time and in time at the same time. Ceremony for me is like the lifeblood of living. I look forward to, a ceremony can be simple. A ceremony can be how you uh, address your cup of coffee in the morning, and just as simple as the moment I take that first sip of coffee, and just the gratitude that's with that, and the ceremony of taking that sip and appreciating it and feeling it and giving gratitude to those that have harvested the beans and all that goes with that. So ceremony deepens our connection to uh, what has brought things forward for us. And ceremony also allows for people to drop into a space where they are in their hearts, not in their heads, and where, again, solutions can come forward, and especially inner solutions. I work a lot with cacao, that's the sacred chocolate, and I have done that for over 20 years, before it had become sort of a more common thing to be working with. And that, to take that in ceremony, working as a way to help release grief, is so powerful. And I think that releasing of grief and celebrating joy. So there are ceremonies that we have that we recognize as weddings and normal kind of ceremonies that we think, and funerals. But there are so many different ways to incorporate deeper meanings that can be woven into the ceremony through song, through acknowledging the directions, as in where are we placed in the land, how are we placed in the universe, and how does that again give us a sense of purpose and continuity. Because when we are in a ceremony, whether it's a private ceremony for yourself, or whether it's in a ceremony for a global ceremony, which I will do, we are reminded of, I love this word, sacred. We're reminded of the sacred aspects of ourselves and others and the natural world. So to anybody that is unsure about ceremony, it's not something that is woo-woo. It's something that is so natural, and it's something that gives you that heart space to write, say, at a full moon ceremony, to connect with something outside of yourself, to illuminate the shadows, if you like, within yourself, to give yourself that breath of space, to then write down what you no longer need, what you want to let go of, and to write down what you want to call in, and to burn that in a sacred fire, witnessed by others, is the journey of self-transformation in community is really, really powerful. And we don't have those spaces enough. We don't have the grieving spaces enough either. I feel very strongly that when a community, as we can see with disasters, when a community grieves and grieves and comes together, something happens. But we shouldn't have to wait for a disaster to happen for us to come together in a ceremony of remembrance, or a ceremony of solutions. And children love
Yeah.
ceremonies. I mean, that's the joy. I love working with children with ceremonies. And I often work with people that have gone through deep trauma, um, as a sort of shamanic healer, and the work that I do on that area. And what we create is a ceremony for themselves. It was a ceremony of transformation from where they were to where they are now. And the creation of something creative like a mandala that they can create, that is now representing of them having crossed over from the trauma into the present, then into the past. So you mentioned timelines. Ceremony allows the opening of timelines as well. Yeah, it's
Well, it's
beautiful.
such a that being in the present moment, which is what I love about, I always acknowledge the equinoxes and the solstices. And sometimes that might be with a group of people, and sometimes it might be just by myself, just tuning in to, people all around the world in these ancient temples which built, over generations, just to acknowledge that one particular day when the sun is at its longest or its shortest, or the balance of equal light and dark. And it just gives us this space between the music.
Yes.
Our big noise, our lives are so busy, constantly doing, and then having something which just makes you stop just for a few minutes and just have that moment of stillness with yourself and with the universe, of just this being here now.
Yeah.
And, let us remember that it's only a few days to go, 21st of December, for the winter equinox. And, again, it's like, wow, that's the shortest night. How exciting. Because it means that the next day, the light is coming back, which to me, it kind of seems much more like a new year.
Yes.
The next
Definitely.
day, the light's coming back, the days of our sunlight are lengthening. And isn't that worth celebrating? Because if it's not,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know what is. So I really, encouraging people to really just stop, even if it's those 4 times a year, whether it's by ourselves or if you can find a local group of people. And I've really noticed in the last few years how it has been gathering. More and more people have started again to do equinox and solstice ceremonies. I mean, we all know about Stonehenge, and which sometimes just seems like a massive free party. But there are groups that take it quite seriously and say, actually, we're here to celebrate the sun. That's why we're here. We're not just here to party. We're here all for the sun. Because, hey, if it goes out one day, yeah, then we'd know about it.
Yeah, we would.
Giving thanks to the sun is a good thing to do. So yes, and you will be leading a ceremony for on the beach.
Yes, so sort of the last 3 years I've been taking ceremonies on Worthing Beach, and normally I have a big fire, and it's been maybe 200 people. It's been a big event, which has been, it's a free event, it's a community event that I wanted to give to the community there. I spend a lot of time in Worthing, and also the power of the sea, as Nicola and I know, to hold the messages of that ceremony as well. So with the solstice, with this ceremony, I'm providing a peace concert as well. So I've got some beautiful singers and some musicians. It's very relaxed, very a coast cafe. So there'll be indoor and then outdoor. And even if the weather's really bad, there's an upstairs area at Coast, which has kind of got some heating, and we may have to do some bits up there. But the idea is, for me, for that time, is to really say to people, let's take that pause again and let's recognize this, because we're very good at focusing on all that's gone wrong. And actually, what I feel the winter solstice gives you that time of introspective and the tools to go into the dark. But if you like, the tools to go into the dark, to settle into the dark, is also to reap that harvest. And a lot of people haven't recognized what has been beautiful. What have they learned? What light has touched them throughout the whole year? And so giving a chance to deepen into that is a beautiful way at the solstice as well, to say, yes, the returning of the light, but what was the light that was there before that I'd forgotten? And what can I then build with that light? And then being able to sit in the stillness and not be afraid of the dark. There's that beautiful Jacob Collier song. To see the dark as a blessing and of a winter time of renewal and rest. And without that, it is very, very hard to regrow and replant. And the waves of the ocean, for me, we will be taking out stones that will be representing the peace that we wish to see in ourselves, inner peace, and the peace that we wish to put into the world, allowing that the resonance of the ocean and asking the ocean's permission, the sea's permission, to take those messages of peace, whether that's blown into the stones, placed there, whether it's people pouring sacred water into the ocean, to have that connection so that the waters of peace carrying that message just goes around the globe. And I actually don't, I have a poem that I have just been, that I will read at the solstice. Are you okay if I could read this
Yes, please do.
around peace? Because we used to know this very, very well, with particularly with the women, about the gathering and the holding. We create life. And this poem that I wrote was just when I turned 60, just a few months ago. And it's had a very amazing journey on where it has reached with regards to America and different Department of Peace building and places that I've been involved in. But I'm reading it at this particular ceremony as well because I want to inspire others to find solutions of education, nonviolent communication, coming together as women to say, we have a voice. War is, well, you'll hear in the poem. So the poem is called We Are Family. We are daughters and mothers and grandmothers, and we create life. We did not give birth to children to kill, maim, or fight. We say no more devastation and shattered hearts. We implore the government to become a part of building bridges for peace, no longer chained to the profits of war that only reassure those who live off the ammunition, the smokescreen of battle, the battleground of hate. Make love, not war. We swore to honor our brothers and sisters. We are family. We are family. Drum this to the world. Strum this to the world. Peace is possible. War is impossible. As an antidote to unity, let's become one community, where peace is held at its center as a sacred right, where we no longer have to fight for rights to be heard or seen, where a Department of Peace building allows us to intervene in the ways of tolerance and kindness, moving us from blindness into balance. We are family. We are family. Let's move away from autocracy towards a true democracy, remembering our interdependence and making nonviolence a priority. Let's ungun America, shun the dogs of war, restore communication and recalibration. Let's shift into the celebration of our shared humanity, creating a culture of peace, where the vultures who pick up the spoils of war are shown what hands are for, to reach out brother to brother, sister to sister, father to mother. We are family. We are family. We stand for peace. We dance the release of grief. We cry our pain for those who have lost their lives again and again and again. Oppression, suppression, depression, starvation. Let's move into an activation of solutions, a heart-based revolution. Peace is possible. We have to bring it into being by seeing it in our future, drum it into life, not drums of war, drums of celebration, not his story, but her story, our story, not glorifying war, but honoring peace and the release of the shackles of blame and shame as we regain one love, one family. We are daughters and mothers and grandmothers, and we are stepping up and stepping in, a rainbow hoop of all colors and all nations, not dying for war, but living for peace. We are family. We are family. We are family.
Wow, that is exactly what we need to be hearing right now, that peace is possible. You know, we accept that these wars carry on and every generation has their war as if that's normal, that humans are built for war. And yeah, I passionately believe as well that if we can't see a future that we want, we're never going to get there. We will just keep creating the same. So thank you so much for those words. And It's I think the more people that are singing it, talking about it, writing poems about it, the more likely we are to, acknowledge first that humans, we are not meant to just be, beings of war. There's no other species on the planet that operates like we do. But
Yeah,
we are
absolutely.
just like a naughty toddler, really, wanting to have a fight and play. It's like, when are we going to grow up as a
Yeah,
species?
exactly. And I think this is the where the women come into this education. All everyone needs to come in, and the children be involved in this. And the solutions do come, and this is what I'm setting up is with groups of women and online. And if anyone wants to join the sort of the peace movement, the We Are Family peace movement. So you know, Nicola and I have talked about before that how important it is that we have, I obviously come from quite a spiritual um, understanding for myself. So I believe in the ability of, raising the frequency of the consciousness of the planet. Like you said, let's have the droplets of this, let this poem be in every government, may I speak it around the world. And if on my YouTube channel, Amanda Waring Films, there are different versions. So I've done a kind of ecstatic dance version that's very much for younger people, so that again they can hear that again and again and dance it into being and bring it into being. And there's a film version that I've done that's called Flags of One Family, and this is again about, instead of connecting us to the individual flags of our country, let's see ourselves as a universal global family. So the Flags of One Family are the film that is filmed as I speak the poem in a very different, slower way, more measured way perhaps. But I think anything that can help galvanize people, and this is my passion with the creating peace ceremonies and peace concerts as well, because music, words, and song, so that it doesn't become like a worthy, it is a worthy bringing peace to the world, but bringing peace to the world, we're creating it. So I think people get bored with the talking of peace. I think they see it as a sort of rather a dry, and like you mentioned, an impossible, it's not something, we're always going to have war and it's not our problem. But actually, if we start creating inner peace and let that flood out into outer peace, and peace is very much about, can you befriend the other? Can you see the other in yourself? Can you recognize with compassion? All my work, whether it's elder care or all the other work I do, is about compassion as an activator. And it, again, compassion isn't a soft word, it's a superpower. To have compassion is, to be with passion, with that beautiful connection, that heart communication. When you speak from the heart, even if you're angry and you're speaking it from the heart, okay, speak it from the heart. Let's listen. Non-violent communication, starting that all in schools. Let's look at where we're not peaceful. Let's look at the poverty there. Or it's not just around not war. It is about, where do we find peace in all aspects of society.
Yeah, and it
But
starts with ourselves and our own families. And
it's not, yeah,
as
absolutely.
this time of year comes, yay, with family interactions, and maybe we can really kind of like look at that as well. It's like, we may not agree with the other person, we
Yeah,
may not have the same ideals and ideas, but how do we find that which we do agree upon
yeah, yeah, yeah,
rather than what we don't agree upon? There's becoming so much conflict in the world of, people that do believe in climate change and don't believe in climate change. We're creating a war between different tribes. and so really it's like actually finding that which we do all agree. We all agree we've got a problem with air pollution. We all agree we've got a problem with the plastic in the sea. So let's just find that which we agree upon. And that's where I think peace comes from, is
Yes,
that part in the middle. It's the Vesica Pisces, isn't it? Where
it's
the
absolutely. In
overlapping.
fact, it's so interesting, just as I have my, but that's my book, Being a Good Carer. And of course, it's that bit in the middle that is about where we are connected there. And
Yes.
knowing that we can have our separate circles as well, and those are validated, but that combination of solutions. And that's the main thing, I think, even with the elections in America and all that sort of has also opened up. If we're looking at the people that want the same outcome, it's just as we said, we're coming from different roots. Where is that one or many threads that we can weave together to do things differently by honoring the fact that we may have different ways of getting there, but actually we want the best for the planet, or we want the best for the human beings. And so I think I've had to learn that as well very strongly about there's not there's no right or wrong on some levels, because again we're polarizing. It's my granny was a very wise woman, and she always used to love to find out people that had a different opinion to her. She was fascinated by it, she loved it, and she would ask them, just tell me, I want to be educated. And some of us, we can all get quite self-righteous in, it's our way or the highway. But actually being able to listen to, well, the pain of somebody, what are their pain points? And you'll find that the pain points are, again, with compassion, are so often the same, and where can we see with people and ourselves, where are we speaking from our wounds, and where are we speaking from where we're healed? And both are valid because they need to be listened to.
And I think
But
that comes back to, just, the importance of knowing yourself, stopping, finding those places, and that's why, ceremony, the solstice, the equinox, you can use that as a time to just, ask, have that moment of just writing down, how are you feeling, what's going on, that was the past, now is the present, and what would you like the future to look like?
yeah,
And coming into those in between worlds, that time of just being present. So
and
thank you so much. Oh, and do you want to
no, I
say?
just wanted to say one thing, that I thank you to that. It's just sometimes we don't know what we want for the future. And I really honor the people that are, as I have in my time, gone through very, very dark times, and you can't see a future. You can't envisage what that looks like. It's all very well to say, well, think about what you want for the future. And when you're in that space of total emptiness and voidness and helplessness, hopelessness. So, what I would say to anyone that is feeling in those spaces is then allow that time for space just to breathe, and just to breathe and just to breathe, and not to give yourself I have to envision something. Sometimes we just can't. And so sometimes ceremony can allow oneself just to drop into that space of not knowing, and can be scary, but also if you can hold yourself in a personal ceremony with that, I do not know. So I will ask for whatever's in the highest good to come to me. And sometimes we don't need to push. And sometimes we need to just say, I will allow the future to unfold. And that's a different way as well. So yeah, for all those for this Christmas time that may be struggling or feeling lonely, um, hopefully you will find that returning of the light, and that you will be held. Yeah, and thank you, Nicola, for having me.
Yay, thank you so much. And yes, well, let us see what happens in this next new year. And yes, well, May everybody have this, as good a festive season as possible, and find that place of the joy of the coming together, the joy of community, the joy of
Yes,
eating together, of
yes,
celebrating life together, and let that be really what gathering is about. We are family. Look
we
at
are
that.
family. So this is just coming out in the solstice, and this is the poetry for inner and outer peace.
Yay,
Anyone,
lovely. I will put the links to your site in after. And
that would be
so,
lovely.
yeah. Thanks again, Amanda. Lovely to speak with you. Bye bye.